Welcome to episode 3 of the Ignorance is a Bliss podcast, and it's your boy Life's True. I often ask myself a question over these past couple years as I go through my journey of self-improvement. Am I the man that I would want my daughter to marry when she get older? Was I the man that I needed to be when I met the mother of my child? Oftentimes, both of these answers are no. And that's what makes the beauty of life and progression a real true thing. So I want to look back on this journey from going from a child to a father and take an objective view, a third person view, if you will. You know, oftentimes when we look back on our past, the reflection is through bad intentions, to blame someone or ourselves, when true growth occurs when accountability is taken. So, starting from the beginning, I preface this for saying that I've truly went through all of these scenarios, stories in my mind and found peace with these things, because at the end of the day, you are your journey. And there's no way to get to the outcome unless you actually take that journey. So I grew up from humble beginnings. A single parent household, 2 other siblings, I'm the eldest. I know what it feels like to not have a dad there. I know what it feels like to have a stepfather there. I know what it feels like to have that friction in the home. And all of these things placed a thought in my mind to never want to be a statistic, and to never want to put my seed through that story. Because too often in our community, we often got to come from humble beginnings to become great people. And it saddens me to say that so many of us come from broken homes. My mother was 20, and my father was 26, college student. He was a man that came from the countryside and made himself in the city. That love was quick, but nothing that was ever set in stone. So, as it began quickly, it ended quickly, and here I am. But in the beauty of creation comes a cycle. And my mom and my dad never could really see eye to eye. And while they have their personal reasons, and even though I've heard all sides of the story, I'll never truly know because I wasn't there. It's something that sticks with you. Because when you needed that love and needed that appreciation and just needed that voice to say you did a good job and you never received it, you go through life yearning for it and looking for it in all the wrong places. And while you may find yourself confused on how to get through the good times in life, you also don't learn how to process the bad. I can say that I've been blessed to always have the attention of women. But sometimes a gift can be a curse, to where my vice was women. And I found myself in a wonderful relationship. But I was codependent. Because of the way I grew up in life, I never understood what true love was and understood how to process what it was like to feel a true union. So once I got it, I didn't appreciate it. In fact, I ran from it because it was something so foreign to me, and it didn't remind me of my mother. We forget that for boys, We look for our mother and our lovers. We look for the first person who gave us love. And when that love from jump is toxic and tainted, you often find yourself in bad situations from what you thought was for you. I don't blame my mother. She had her own story and her own faults. But that doesn't take away from the pain that I felt. And as a man, I married myself to the idea that a woman like my mother, single mother of 3, with all the problems and pain that she carried, deserved love. And I could never look down on a mother or a woman with issues, because that's where my mother came from. So I have a heart for that. But with this, you leave yourself vulnerable. And you leave yourself in the hands of women who are in survival mode. And while individual experiences do not give you the right to judge the masses, it does leave you jaded when you're in an immature state. And so I would, like any man who doesn't know how to express himself and hasn't lost himself in drugs, women became my drug. And I began to sleep through my problems, if you will. And as the bodies piled up, I became more numb. Until I've met someone who brought a spark to my life. And when she came, I focused all my heart and love and soul on her to become alive again. But slowly and surely, the toxicness that I was holding on to try to survive was seeping on to her as I became happy. And she began to be affected by it, crying every day, and not because she was sad, but because she couldn't help me. She couldn't stop my crying. She couldn't stop my pain when it was something that I had to attack directly. So I ended up losing her. And I began my cycle again of body after body after body, trying to make sense of it all. I met a young woman. And from the moment I met her, I knew she was trouble. Young, vibrant, headstrong, caught my attention. And I honestly say I was outside looking at a fight. By the end of the night, I was involved into something that would change my life for the rest of my life. And now that I think about it, I often laugh, because you never know who you accept into your energy, your spirit, your aura, your environment, and how they could change things. 6 years younger than me. She walked into my life when I was 26 and she was 20, and boom, there you go. There's the cycle. It wasn't a relationship, it was a situationship. And once again, I was dealing my codependent mind. I knew that she wasn't on the level that I was on, that she didn't compare to the women that I had dated, that I didn't have the time to vet her completely. I didn't know anything about this woman, but I was working 6 to 7 days a week at this time, and my heart was broken. And as months went on and this continued, I started to soften. I knew for a fact that I was in the clutches of something that could change my life. But blinded by my own lack of self-awareness, I continue forward. And I can't blame anybody but myself, because I let what felt good blind me to what I knew what was right. All I had to do was sit down and center myself and feel for the first time and wrap my arms around the person that I was neglecting. But instead, I decided to lose myself in the cheeks, engulf myself in the waters of reprieve. But that was a mistake, because I wasn't ready to marry myself to the idea of being with this young lady. And to this day, it's something that I always say, why not just stop? But I digress, because once a man gives his all to a woman over a period of time and she proves herself loyal to him, he'll begin to soften. So I began to be comfortable with the idea of being with this woman. But just as life always does, it gave me a flash of the troubles to come. Before I could make everything official, she blew up on me. You ain't this. You think you gonna do me like that, and you gonna F me like this, and we not gonna be together? One hand on head, one head on lace. All that stuff. And I was like, cool, you know what, fine, you got it. Click. Done. Wash your hands, move on. I got work anyway. And of course I had to backtrack. One call. I just need to, you know what I'm saying, get that one more time before it's over with, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, fuck it, I'm bored. So whatever. And that moment changed everything, because after that, now daddy come. And it's amazing how the finality of finding out that you have a baby on the way. Because not only in our community, for a man at least, is it seen as a death sentence because of your finances, because it ties you down, because most elders don't even have faith in the union. A young man can walk in a room full of older men and say, man, I got a baby on the way. 75% of the men in the room gonna be like, oh, youngster, why? Man, you're so young, why? While 25% will congratulate him on being a father. Because we all have had bad experiences, whether it be secondhand or firsthand, from growing up in the system, to being neglected by the system, to being affected by the system. When truly it is a death and a rebirth, because becoming a father and saying that you have a child on the way is the death of your childhood and the birth of your responsibility. It's the key to what makes you a man, giving you something that you truly have to protect. But she was moving weird. She didn't want me to tell people. Created doubt. As soon as she found out, she was acting as if I wanted her to get rid of it. It's not the type of man I am. That ain't my choice, and I've already lost 2 children. So a blessing of having one in actuality is something that I've always looked at as a gift from God. For my daughter is the best part of me. She is my peace. But me and the mother of my child were too far gone. It became a competition to see who could hurt each other the most, because I felt betrayed from the beginning, because she played games on not wanting my child and disappearing, coming back. She was hell-bent on making us a ghetto love story. But once my baby dropped and we were all in the delivery room, that changed. For a week, it felt like there was hope. When I talked to her about her story, it seemed like me and her story mirrored. We just had different characters in different places. But the gist was still the same, so the understanding was too that even if we couldn't work it out, co-parenting was the goal. But for some reason the waters got muddy because we could never just get back on the horse from trying to hurt each other. So once my baby dropped, it became me becoming a slave on gaining forgiveness and her trying to drive home the fact that I had pushed a corner that couldn't be turned. So we gave it a try. An actual relationship after a year of battling. We hurt each other more than one ways. She destroyed me mentally, physically, and emotionally, and had made me rebuild myself. I destroyed the dreams of the storybook relationship and family that she wanted. Because I had seen too much, experienced too much, and I was unwilling to change my life for someone that I barely knew and for a life that was forced upon me. Was I wrong for this? If somebody asked you to cut your hair off, cut your friends off, change the way you move, dress, and jobs that you hold, would you be accepting to that? Especially when this person is 6 years your junior and less experienced in life as you? No, you wouldn't take too kindly to that. Neither did I. So from that point forward, I married myself to the fact that I will create the man that my daughter deserves to be associated with. And as the years went on of absence, because if she couldn't hurt me with her words, she would hurt me with her actions. And it got to a point to where taking my child was the only thing that she could do. I found myself in a position where I was truly in a rock and a hard place. Any steps forward to procure my child would put me at risk of losing my child. Because as a black man, all you have to do is show yourself to be aggressive, and you lose everything. So I began to work on the mental, the spiritual, the emotional. I prayed to get myself out of the mindset of becoming a statistic. I prayed to find myself, because it was days where I was angry at the world for allowing the system to be the way it was. I was angry at myself for allowing myself to be trapped in the place that I was. I was angry at the mother of my child for allowing us to become what our parents were, because we're the same age, walking down the same path, and our child is the one that's going to suffer for it. You never see the similarities between the two when you beefing. But I'll say it as simple as this. When she raps and I write poetry, we just a new and an old version of the same coin. So I only imagine what our daughter could be if we can get on the same page. But that's the plight of a father. To look past the emotions and drama and mess and say, hey, this is what really needs to happen. This is what's truly important. It's not about if I like you or do you like me. It's about our child and finding the best opportunity for her to grow and be successful. And that's what I realized. You on this a chance to make my situation better. In episode 3 of the Ignorance is the Bliss podcast. Appreciate you for taking the time out to listen. Appreciate you for giving me the time to do it.